opinion on the illegal immigration, and I want to know why specifically you're against them signing the ICE bill.
Got it. So, the people who would be in favor of ICE and deporting criminals, that's a large opinion in the country. That's not what this is about. ICE has their job. They are seeking to do deportations. Our City of Miami Police's job is not that. The City of Miami Police's job is to serve and protect the residents of Miami, whether they're tourists, whether they have documents, whether they don't have documents. Anyone should be able to call 911. Also, we locally pay our taxes for the resources of our government to have our police do their duty, and they're already spread thin. We have crime in the City of Miami that is not getting addressed well enough, and we're going to spread them thin with federal obligations of ICE. No, thank you. So they should absolutely vote no. There's no reason to do this, and they're not considering the repercussions of if they do vote yes.
Okay, do you know how many police officers we're actually short right now? Do you have any idea how many police officers we're actually short right now in the City of Miami? Okay, it's a lot.
Certainly there can always be more, and the police always ask for additional budget. They're doing what they can with what they have, and their police force is focused where the need and where the crime is. But there's a lot of folks, say in Brickell and downtown, who would love to see more representation of officers on the streets, making them feel safer, addressing crime that we have. We don't have the manpower for that right now. We don't have the resources for that. So forget about them suddenly taking on ICE duties. It's just wrong.
How do you feel about our police officers? You know, a lot of times we're seeing them like fist pumping each other when they're coming into like investigations. I mean, personally, I find it sickening to see them fist pumping each other coming into investigations, lingering around with groups of, 10 or 15 of them when they should be working. How do you feel about that?
You know, they have their own morale issues, and they work as a team, and they think of themselves almost like a part of an armed service, like the military or whatever, and there's a camaraderie within that. But there should never be joy in taking down criminals. Even though they feel that they're proud of doing their job, that's something internal. That's not something to be high-fiving about. People have their due process. They may be innocent, they may be guilty, they have a process to go through, and the police play a role in that. Celebration of taking down people is not a good public display.
How do you feel about our police officers sometimes not even knowing the laws that we do have and enforcing those, but yet they're being asked to enforce new laws, national laws?
Sure. Our police should be as well versed in our laws as possible, especially the city ordinances, because that's what they're here to enforce.
If you were mayor, would you make sure that the police are actively knowing new codes and new laws on a daily basis or on a weekly basis?
I never in my career as a city commissioner said the words defund the police. What I wanted was more funding for education, oversight, and accountability. That doesn't mean that our police force is bad. It means that we need to support them with the right infrastructure that teaches them how to be the best cop they can be and hold them accountable when they're not.
How do you feel about when you and I go to other countries where we have a time that we're supposed to leave by, and if we don't leave, we're going to be forced out? So what do you think the difference is?
I'm sorry, what are you talking
about?
Okay,
when you and I go to other countries, we go on a visa, right?
Yes.
So we're forced out of that country. You know, we leave legally. So how do you feel about the people who have overstayed their visas, who are overstayed their travel visas in our country?
We should be enforcing our immigration laws. We should have good comprehensive immigration reform. But everybody's path to citizenship is different. It's complicated. And none of us is perfect or innocent. And you will find very beautiful people here who own homes, who have jobs, who pay taxes, who aren't properly documented, but they've been working on it, let's say, for 20 years. Okay. It happens. And so we have to have sympathy for the fact that part of our community is undocumented. It does not make them an evil criminal. They are not carrying out crimes in our city to hurt our people. Those who do should absolutely be enforced and deported. But to cast a broad and wide net catches all of the innocents who are here contributing to our community, which is not what's intended.
How do you feel about the Miami citizens who are sometimes homeless or forced to leave because we have immigrants that are coming here buying properties, such as we even have developers that are on the Chinese stock exchange. They're not on our stock exchange, but on the Chinese stock exchange, building major developments within the city of Miami.
I'm not against foreign ownership of U.S. properties. We are a global community. We count on investment. What we need is good policy at the local level to ensure that our residents have a place to live and can afford to live here.
Okay, so Governor DeSantis signed an executive order stating the Chinese Communist Party cannot own land within the state of Florida.
Yes, so what are you going to do? Blow up Brickell City Centre and all of Brickell Key, which is owned by Swire, which is a Chinese company? We have foreign operations in our company investing in our community, which is not a bad thing. It's when folks actually affect our markets in a negative way, we have to create the policies that counter that. We have to be competitive with that. But simply closing off our walls and saying everything outside the U.S. is bad, people, corporations, and etc., is not the right way.
So even communist companies, you're okay with that?
Good businesses can operate from communist countries. This doesn't mean that we're supporting the communist government or working with the government.
But you know that the government actually owns almost a piece of the pie on every Chinese company.
You need to drop the phone that you have that was made in China because it was made within a communist country. So we simply have to realize that's not the world we live in, right? So there are gray areas to everything. You can say, yes, communism bad, but are we going to close off global trade with all partners who have anything to do with communism? It can't happen.
What about the Chinese taking over part of Cuba, using their doctors for human trafficking? How do you feel about that?
We certainly need to keep an eye on, especially the regime closest to us, which is Cuba, and always being vigilant to make sure that we are pushing for them to eventually have free and fair elections, a free press, and a free economy. They don't have that. We need to encourage that, but there's only so much that we can do.
What will you do to protect the borders of Miami?
And I will say, sorry to interrupt, I will say that when we close off other partners around the world, that encourages them to partner up with those we don't want them to. So China will now, if they're cut off from the U.S. within trade due to tariffs or whatever, they're going to go with their Belt and Road program and find partners throughout the world without us. And that's not good for us either.
Did they bring Belt and Road Initiative up to you guys when you were City of Miami Commissioner?
No.
No?
It's a federal and international issue, never came up to us.
Okay. Thank you, Ken.
Good to see
Appreciate
you.
it, buddy.
No,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Yep.